Listen closely, because this is going to challenge the way you see yourself and the way you approach life. Everyone wants the dream. Everyone wants the breakthrough. Everyone wants the success story. But let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. No one's coming to do it for you. No one's going to wake you up early. No one's going to push you when you feel tired. And no one's going to hand you the life you've been imagining. You've got to do it alone. Hard work is lonely. It's supposed to be. It's in those hours when no one's watching, when the world is asleep, when the applause is gone, that champions are made. When it's just you, your vision, and your commitment, that's when you discover what you're truly made of. You see, most people quit not because the dream was impossible, but because the path was uncomfortable. They wanted company. They wanted reassurance. They wanted someone to keep clapping for them when the road got rough. But that's not how greatness is built. Greatness demands sacrifice. It demands that you step up when no one's patting you on the back, when the world doesn't even notice the effort you're putting in. Think about it. The gym is empty in the early hours. The library is quiet when others are out partying. The office is silent when you stay behind to finish what you started. That's where the separation happens. That's where discipline speaks louder than excuses. That's where you prove that you don't need a crowd to validate your mission. Hard work alone means you don't wait for motivation. You create it. You don't wait for the perfect moment. You make it. You don't wait for support. You become your own support system. Because if you're waiting for the world to cheer you on, you'll be waiting forever. But if you commit to doing the work in silence, I promise you the results will make the noise. And here's the truth. Doing it alone doesn't mean you'll always feel strong. It doesn't mean you won't doubt yourself. It doesn't mean you won't feel tired or want to quit. But the difference is you'll keep going anyway. You'll push through anyway. You'll grind when your body says stop and fight when your mind says it's over. Because you know deep down, success isn't owned, it's leased. And the rent is due every single day. So don't wait for a team to believe in you before you start. Don't wait for the perfect conditions before you take action. Don't wait for approval, recognition, or a round of applause. Just put in the work. Put it in consistently. Put it in relentlessly. The world will notice later. The results will speak later. But right now, you've got to be willing to do what others won't, so you can live a life that others can't. Hard work, do it alone. No one is coming to save you. That's the raw truth most people try to avoid. We live in a world where it's so easy to wait for help, to wait for a push, to wait for someone to notice our potential and give us a chance. But the moment you wake up and realize that you are the one who has to make the move, everything changes. The life you want, the goals you dream of, the freedom you crave, they're not waiting for someone else to deliver them to you. They're waiting for you to step up and claim them. You can't sit around hoping for luck, waiting for someone to hand you the golden opportunity, or expecting that one day the circumstances will just line up perfectly. That's a lie we've all been told, and it keeps people stuck their entire lives. When you accept that no one is coming to save you, you take full ownership of your future. You stop blaming your family, your friends, the government, your boss, or your past for why you're not where you want to be. You realize the power has always been in your hands, and yes, that can feel overwhelming because it means if you want it, you've got to build it. If you want change, you've got to make it happen. If you want success, you've got to work for it, even when no one else believes in you. The truth is, many people won't understand your vision. They won't share your passion. They won't sacrifice like you're willing to sacrifice. And that's okay, because the vision was given to you, not to them. Self-reliance is the foundation of every achievement. Think about anyone you admire who's accomplished something extraordinary. They didn't get there because someone else carried them on their back. They got there because they refused to wait for permission. They refused to let excuses define them. They took responsibility when it would have been easier to point fingers. They worked when it was painful, and they stayed disciplined when others gave in. They knew that the cavalry wasn't coming, so they became their own army. The biggest mistake people make is waiting for motivation, waiting for support, waiting for the perfect timing. But here's the truth. If you wait, you lose. Life doesn't wait. Opportunities don't wait. The clock is ticking whether you move or stand still. So you can either let it pass while you dream about what you could have done, or you can use every tick as fuel to push yourself forward. No one can make that choice for you. It's yours alone. And when you take ownership, something shifts inside of you. You stop seeing obstacles as reasons to quit and start seeing them as tests you're capable of passing. You stop relying on encouragement from others, and you begin encouraging yourself. You stop seeking shortcuts, and you start embracing the grind, because you finally understand that the only way out is through, and the only person who can take you through is you. People will doubt you. Some will laugh at you, others will ignore you, but none of that matters because their opinion doesn't build your dream. Your actions do. Every rep in the gym, every late night of study, every risk you take in your career, every sacrifice you make to improve yourself, it all adds up, even when no one notices in the moment. And one day, when the results show, when the success is visible, everyone will wonder how you did it. But you'll know the truth. You did it because you stopped waiting for someone to save you. You did it because you chose to save yourself. Greatness is built in silence when no one is watching. It's easy to shine when the spotlight is on, when people are clapping for you, when the world seems to notice your efforts. But the truth is, the real work is done when the cameras are off, when there's no applause, and when the only person keeping you accountable is yourself. That's the breeding ground of greatness. The quiet hours, the unseen sacrifices, the lonely grind. Because it's in those moments when there is no validation that you prove to yourself how badly you really want it. Most people love the idea of success, but they don't love the process. They want the recognition, the reward, the lifestyle, but not the unseen struggle that makes it possible. They crave the outcome, but not the lonely nights spent working while others are sleeping. They want the championship, but not the endless hours of practice no one ever sees. The truth is, greatness demands payment in private long before it rewards you in public. If you're not willing to pay the price in silence, you'll never get to enjoy the victory in the light. When no one's watching, you have two choices: cut corners or build character. This is where discipline separates you from the rest. Because without an audience, without a coach hovering over you, without a cheering crowd, it's tempting to slack off. But that's where champions are born. In the silence, you decide whether you're going to be average or unstoppable. Every choice you make in that quiet space, whether to push a little harder, study a little longer, or practice one more time, becomes the difference between mediocrity and mastery. And the silence can feel brutal. There are no claps for showing up early. No one congratulates you for saying no to distractions. No one thanks you for grinding when your body is tired. But that's the point. Greatness isn't about external rewards. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need them to stay committed. When you can stay focused without recognition, when you can stay disciplined without an audience, when you can keep grinding without applause, that's when you've built the inner strength that guarantees success. The silence is also where you discover your true limits and push past them. It's where your doubts scream the loudest and where you learn to silence them with action. It's where excuses show up in your mind, trying to convince you to quit, and where you prove to yourself that you are stronger than those excuses. Every drop of sweat, every late night effort, every painful repetition in that silence is a deposit into the bank of your future success. One day, when the results show, people will call you talented or lucky, but you'll know it wasn't talent or luck. It was the hours of silent hard work they never saw. Greatness is quiet at first. It's the person studying alone while their friends party. It's the athlete training in the dark, unseen hours of the morning. It's the entrepreneur working late when the world is asleep. It's the student refusing to give in to laziness when no teacher is watching. These are the silent battles, and each victory is invisible until one day the world sees the result and calls it overnight success. But overnight success is a lie. It's the harvest of silent seasons that nobody else noticed. So embrace the silence, learn to love it. It's not a punishment, it's a gift, because in the quiet you're shaping the version of yourself that will be ready for the world when the spotlight finally finds you. The silence is your training ground, your proving ground, your sanctuary. It's the place where you build the strength, the resilience, and the determination that no one can take from you. The silence is where greatness is built, brick by brick, moment by moment, when no one is watching. Discipline must speak louder than excuses. Every single day, life presents you with two voices. One is the soft whisper of excuses telling you to stay comfortable, to take it easy, to skip the hard work just this once. The other is the firm, steady voice of discipline, pushing you to do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck isn't talent, luck, or circumstance. It's which voice they choose to obey. Discipline is the deciding factor. It doesn't care about how tired you are, how unmotivated you feel, or how unfair life seems. It simply demands that you follow through on your commitments even when every excuse in the world is begging you to quit. Excuses are seductive. They give you comfort, they let you off the hook, they provide a quick justification for inaction. I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow. I don't have enough time. They feel reasonable, but they're the chains that keep you stuck in the same place year after year. Discipline, on the other hand, is rarely comfortable. It requires sacrifice. It requires waking up earlier than you want to, staying later than you planned, doing more than you feel like doing. But the truth is, while excuses make you feel good in the moment, discipline is what builds a life you can actually be proud of. Think about it. No one ever looks back and feels proud of the times they gave in to excuses. You don't remember the nights you chose to procrastinate or the mornings you stayed in bed instead of getting up to pursue your goals. But you do remember the times you pushed through, the times you chose discipline over comfort. Those are the moments that shape you. Those are the choices that carve out the life you want. Discipline speaks in action, not in words. Excuses shout loudly, but they never produce results. Discipline is the promise you make to yourself that you refuse to break. When you say you're going to do something, discipline holds you to it. And here's the thing. Every time you choose discipline over excuses, you build trust with yourself. You prove that your word means something, that your goals matter, that you're not just talking about changing your life. You're actually doing it. On the flip side, every time you give in to excuses, you chip away at that trust. You send a message to yourself that your comfort is more important than your commitment, and over time, that belief becomes a habit that destroys potential. Discipline is also the great equalizer. You may not have the same resources, connections, or opportunities as someone else, but you can always control your discipline. And when your discipline speaks louder than your excuses, you create momentum. You start showing up consistently, and consistency compounds. The world begins to notice. Results begin to show. And before long, the same people who underestimated you are asking how you did it. The answer isn't a secret. It's that you chose discipline every single time excuses tried to drag you away. There's something powerful that happens when discipline becomes your default. You stop negotiating with yourself about whether or not you'll take action. You stop waiting for motivation to arrive. You stop relying on perfect circumstances to move forward. You simply do what needs to be done. It doesn't mean you don't feel resistance. It means you've trained yourself to act in spite of it.
That's the true strength of discipline, not that it erases excuses, but that it silences them by proving action matters more than comfort. Every excuse you silence with discipline adds another brick to the foundation of your success. Every time you wake up early instead of hitting snooze, every time you choose to study instead of scrolling endlessly, every time you go to the gym instead of staying on the couch, you are proving that your future is worth more than temporary comfort. Discipline is not punishment, it's self-respect. It's the ultimate declaration that you believe in your potential enough to protect it from the excuses that want to steal it. Motivation isn't found, it's created through consistent action. Too many people sit around waiting for the perfect spark, waiting for that magical feeling of inspiration to suddenly light them up and push them forward. But motivation doesn't come first. Action comes first, and motivation follows. You can't expect to feel like doing the hard work every day, because you won't. But when you act despite how you feel, when you take that first step even while unmotivated, you create the momentum that generates the very motivation you were looking for. Think about the times you've told yourself, "I'll do it when I feel motivated." How often did that motivation actually come? Waiting for motivation is like waiting for a train that's never scheduled to arrive. You sit there, you waste time, and nothing changes. But the moment you take action, any action, you start to feel the energy shift. You pick up the book and read a page. You lace up your shoes and go for the run. You sit down and start working on the project. At first it feels small, almost insignificant, but soon momentum builds and suddenly you're in motion. That motion is what fuels motivation, not the other way around. Consistency is the secret. You don't brush your teeth only when you feel like it, and you don't eat only when it's convenient. You do it because it's necessary. The same is true with the actions required to build your future. When you show up consistently, day after day, even when you don't feel like it, you rewire your brain to stop depending on fleeting feelings and start relying on discipline, driven habits, and those habits eventually make the actions automatic. The motivation you were waiting for was actually hidden inside your consistency all along. Motivation built from action is also stronger than motivation built from inspiration alone. Inspiration fades quickly. You can watch a powerful video, read a great book, or hear an incredible speech and feel unstoppable in the moment. But if you don't follow it with action, that fire dies out fast. Real motivation, the kind that lasts, comes from proving to yourself through action that you are capable of more than you thought. Each small victory, each step taken, each task completed creates undeniable evidence that you can keep going. And when you see yourself taking consistent action, your belief grows. That belief fuels confidence, and that confidence multiplies motivation. One of the biggest misconceptions is that successful people wake up every day filled with endless motivation. The truth is they often don't. They wake up tired, stressed, unmotivated, just like you. The difference is they've trained themselves to act anyway. They don't wait for the feeling, they create it by doing the work. They've learned that action doesn't just produce results. It produces the motivation needed to keep going. Another important truth is that small actions matter more than grand intentions. People get stuck thinking they need to take massive leaps to feel motivated, when in reality, it's the small, consistent steps that build the most powerful momentum. Write 1 page, do 10 push-ups, make 1 sales call. Each action may feel tiny, but together they create a rhythm, and that rhythm generates unstoppable drive. Waiting for a giant wave of motivation will leave you stuck on the shore, but creating small ripples of action will eventually turn into a current that carries you forward. So if you're sitting there waiting to feel ready, understand that readiness never comes. The only way to feel ready is to begin. The moment you start, you shift your state, and that shift produces energy. That's why action is always the cure for hesitation. You don't need to feel like it. You don't need to be in the perfect mood. You just need to start. Because once you start, motivation shows up, and once motivation shows up, you begin to realize that you were capable all along. Hard work done alone today will make the world notice tomorrow. Every effort you put in when no one is watching, every sacrifice you make when others are taking it easy, every late night and early morning you endure without applause is building a foundation that people will one day see. The results of your effort may not show immediately, and that's why so many give up. They want instant recognition, instant success, instant validation. But success doesn't come to those who chase the spotlight. It comes to those who are willing to grind in the shadows until their results shine so brightly that no one can ignore them. There is something powerful about delayed recognition. When you choose to put in the work even though no one notices, you're telling yourself that your vision matters more than applause. You're declaring that your dreams are worth every ounce of effort, even if the world isn't cheering you on right now. The truth is, the world rarely notices the preparation. It only celebrates the performance. They don't see the lonely hours of practice, the nights you spent struggling, the mornings you forced yourself out of bed. They see the victory, the achievement, the end result. And that's okay because you're not doing it for approval. You're doing it because you know that every drop of sweat, every ounce of effort, every bit of discipline will one day demand recognition through undeniable results. Think about a seed planted in the ground. For weeks, even months, nothing seems to happen. You water it, you nurture it, you care for it, and yet to the outside world, it looks like nothing is growing. But under the soil, roots are taking hold, strength is being built, and growth is happening where no one can see. Then, one day, the seed breaks through the surface, and everyone suddenly notices the plant. Your hard work is the same. The world may not see your roots being built right now, but when the breakthrough comes, they'll see the strength that was quietly growing all along. The loneliness of hard work is the price you pay for the recognition that comes later. Every extra hour of study, every practice session, every moment you choose discipline over distraction is a deposit into your future. Most people aren't willing to pay that price, which is why most people never get to enjoy the reward. They want the celebration without the sacrifice, but you're different. You're willing to put in the work without needing an audience. You're willing to push yourself beyond comfort because you know the results will speak for themselves. And when those results show, the same people who ignored your grind will want to know your secret. They'll ask how you achieved so much, how you reached so far, how you turned your vision into reality. They won't see the countless days of hard work when no one cared. They won't remember the times you said no to distractions while they said yes. They'll only see the evidence of your persistence, the undeniable proof of your commitment. But you'll know the truth, that it wasn't luck, it wasn't a sudden miracle, it wasn't a gift handed to you. It was the relentless work you did alone when no one was clapping. Hard work done alone also builds something far more valuable than recognition. It builds character. When you learn to rely on your own effort, you become unshakable. You no longer need external validation to keep moving forward. You no longer depend on others to fuel your drive. You become the kind of person who can thrive in silence, who can push through struggle, who can rise even when the world isn't watching. That strength, that resilience, is what guarantees that when the world finally does notice, you'll be ready to handle the weight of success. One day, the results of your silent grind will be so visible that no one can deny your effort. But until that day comes, you keep working, you keep showing up. You keep building in the dark so that one day your light will shine so brightly that it can't be ignored.